Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about um, how to be your own hero, right? Because life isn't fair, and sometimes there's no one that's gonna come and save us, no hero that's gonna save the day and give us the money that we want, the family that we want, the house that we want, the lifestyle that we want. All these things are not gonna be handed to us, okay? At least for the majority of the population, right? So I'm going to go into some things of what you need to do basically to be your own hero, because life really isn't fair and it sucks, right? A lot of the time, okay? So how can you best use this to your advantage, right? Because you can use that to your advantage, okay? So I'm going to go into some things that you can do to be your own hero so you can create your own luck, right? Because sometimes that's the only thing we can do in this world, okay? So the first point that I want to make is one that I've already talked about a little bit, right? And that is, things are not going to be just handed to you, okay? There are so many people out there that are wanting and expecting handouts from the government, right, from their political parties, and sometimes people do get handouts, but it's usually very little, right? And you can't expect people to come and save you, right? And that's a harsh lesson that I've learned as a woman growing up, right? Not everyone is going to stick up for you. Not everyone, you're not going to always expect the guys in your life, because that's what I did when I was younger. When I was a lot younger, like when I was a child or when I was a teenager, I expected the men around me to protect me, but unfortunately they didn't, right? And not in the ways that I wanted them to, at least. Maybe the basic kind of protection, but not the ones that I was hoping for. And it was the same for other people in my life as well, like authority figures. I wanted them to protect me, like teachers and things like that, but they never did. I remember a specific instance when I was at school, right? I was in secondary school, and they played like a game at the this teacher played a game at the end of class, and he said something like okay, so everyone can you can leave, we'll do table by table, because it was like the end of the day, and he said, right, each table, right, whoever can pull the saddest face can go, right, who can go first. And he said, apart from Christine, right, he said, apart from Christine, because she's always got a sad look on her face, right? He said that to me, right? And never once did that teacher actually come up to me and ask why I was sad, why I looked so miserable all the time. In fact, he used it to just have a jab at me for some reason. And I never really had a bad relationship with that teacher, so it kind of blindsided me a little bit. I was like, where did that come from? So it was just like a mean thing. And and that's what it's like, right? Because what you got to realize is that these authority figures, the government, people that you're expecting handouts from or protection from, they're just human beings too. And every human being has a dark side, and they're not always going to be knights in shining armor, right? So that's just an example of how life wasn't really particularly fair to me, right, growing up. So with that being said, knowing that you're going to have to be your own hero, if you are not enjoying or you're not happy with your life right now, only you can change it, right? Only you can solve that, right? I also think as well, like getting handouts and stuff, getting help, doesn't actually help you. In fact, it makes you weaker and it makes you more soft, right? And what I mean by that is that if someone's always babying you and spoon feeding you, like, and giving you stuff and basically lifting you up because you're not supporting yourself, then you become weaker. What actually will make you stronger as a person, mentally, maybe even physically too, is by, doing your own thing, by trying to save yourself, by working hard, right? And working towards the things that you want in life, okay? So the next point that I want to make is you need to create your own luck, right? And how can you create your own luck, basically? So to create your own luck, the best thing that you can use if you feel like you've got no luck is to use the law of probability, right? So the law of probability to me means that you keep on shooting your shot until you actually get there. You keep on persisting until you get what you want. Now, that may be for you. Let's say you've got a business venture, let's say you've got like a blog or you've got like a shop, but you may have to continuously promote your products until someone buys them, right? And you start getting that attraction and things go viral or whatever, right? And it's the same if you've got like a blog. You keep on writing posts, you keep on publishing posts until you get to a point where you've got enough people reading those posts, clicking on those ads on those posts, that you can actually make some money from it, right? So, and also another way you can do that, especially if you have an internet business, is that you create different, different income streams, right? So you don't just have one income stream coming in, because you may have a regular job, and then you may have like this blog or something like that, or a YouTube account, right? And you're hoping that's going to go and give you some extra money, right? Or perhaps you want that to be your main job, your main focus, or you might have a TikTok account or something like that. So what you got to do is you just got to keep on going. You got to keep on pumping out content. You got to keep on, shooting your shot basically, and be consistent with it until, right? So basically you just got to not give up. You just got to keep on persisting. Now, of course, with things like that, it's a good idea to work out what's actually working, because you might figure out, okay, so I've been doing the same thing for like 6 months or a year, and not really any of these things that I've done have actually solved anything. So you may need to do some research on how to get more views, or how to get more clicks, or how to do better marketing for your products, whatever it may be. That's what you've got to work on. You've got to figure out what you're doing wrong and just basically tweak your approach. It doesn't mean that you change the whole game plan, and it doesn't mean that you change completely what you're doing. It just means that you try and find better ways, more efficient ways of doing things that gains more attraction, basically, okay? And if you keep on doing that over time, and you keep on tweaking your approach every now and then to try and do a little bit better, to try and gain more attraction, eventually the law of probability will work in your favor, and you will get a viral video or a viral blog post, or people will start buying your products, right? Whatever it may be for you. So you got to use the law of probability. Now, those are just a few examples. So you got to basically use your noggin here, right? And figure out how you can use the law of probability to your advantage. It might be, for example, perhaps you really dislike your job, and you just keep on sending your CV out, right? Or your resume. And you basically keep on doing that until you get the job that you want. Or maybe you may even like apply multiple times to the same place, right? So every so often you apply to that job. Like, let's say you can see, or let's say some friends, or there's a place that you know of that you really love to work at, right? Every so often send out your CV, tweak things, on your resume, just to make it seem, just to update it and things like that. So, because obviously you don't want to keep on sending out the same resume if it's not getting any attraction. So you got to maybe tweak things a little bit to make it more interesting, or to perhaps you have to go and do something to level up your skills, and then you add that to your CV and things like that. Right? These are things that you really need to consider if you're trying to find a new job, and you've been trying to apply for new jobs, but you haven't gained any success. Right? And this is something that my wife went through. She was applying, and she kept on doing that for a couple of years, actually, right? And there was nothing going on. Unfortunately, I think one of the main things that was against her was that she was doing that while the pandemic was on. But, so not a lot of places were actually hiring, right? And a lot of places were actually letting go of staff. But she did eventually get a new job, and a job now that she really loves, and like she just really cares about it and stuff like that. So, you can do it. You will get there eventually, even if it seems slow. So that's what I mean by the law of probability. So find a way to use the law of probability to your advantage, so you can create your own luck, right? And then life will seem a little bit more fair, because you were your own hero. You pushed, right? You carried on. You didn't give up. You persisted. And it's so important to do that in this day and age, because too many people give up, right? And that kind of gives you an advantage as well, right? Because a lot of people do give up after a couple of failures. Sometimes people give up after the first failure, right? And they never try again. So that actually puts you in an advantage if you're someone who persists, and you keep on doing what you need to do, and you keep on throwing out whatever it is that you're doing, right? You keep on doing that, and you keep on persisting, because a lot of people give up, but you won't. So you're different, okay? And that's going to make you stand out, right? And no matter what you do, right? Especially if you don't give up, because this is the mantra that you should have, right? Especially if you're trying to create your own luck in this life, because you've had bad hands handed to you. What you got to do is that you got to persist, right? And what that means is, the mantra that you should use is, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's only a matter of when it's going to happen, okay? Now, when might be next week. It might be next month. It might be in a year or two, but you're not going to give up no matter what, okay? And that's what your mantra should be. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when, okay? So if you get frustrated, because obviously sometimes this kind of thing can happen, obviously getting something like a counselor or therapist may help with that sort of thing, but also journaling really helps as well. Like if you get frustrated, if you get overwhelmed, right, write down basically what's going on with you, right? Write down what's going on in your head, write down what's bothering you, because sometimes, you know, it can be difficult when you're on a road and sometimes and you're not getting much back, right? It can be very frustrating to do that, and I've definitely experienced that when I've tried to persist with things. And, you know, in a way, I'm still sort of not quite there as well, so I'm still persisting even now, right? So, you know, you have to keep on going, right? But sometimes it can get frustrating. So one of the best things you can do is to write about it. You know, write down your thoughts or your feelings. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of a brain dump, you know, just to get out your worst fears in the worst case scenarios. And then basically what will happen is you'll read these things back and they won't seem that bad anymore. They won't seem that intense. And you maybe actually be able to find a solution to those problems, to those issues that you can do and you can take action on immediately. Okay? So a good question that I like to ask people is, you know, where would you ultimately like to see yourself in 5 years' time, right? What would you like your business to look like if you've got a business? What would you like your lifestyle to be like? What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of car do you want to be driving? What kind of people do you want to be hanging around? You know, what would you like to be doing in your free time? You know, what would you like your life to look like, right? And then you work towards that every single day. And it may take some time to create that life, and it may not take the 5 years as well. Like, that's one of the things, you know, it may not actually take, you know, the time frame that you've given it, but you're doing a hell of a lot better. I can guarantee you're doing a hell of a lot, you know, way better than people that haven't even tried. Okay, so that's something to think about as well. Okay, and another thing about the whole life isn't fair thing, what you got to realize as well, like, some people who think like that usually have a problem with other people's opinions of them as well, right? They're always like worried about what, you know, their school friends you know think about them, you know, the people they went to school with. They're worried about what their parents think of them. They're worried about what society may think of them and things like that. But what you got to realize is this, okay? People don't care about you or your problems as much as what you think that they do. In fact, most people don't actually care, because everyone has their own problems. Everyone has their own issues, right? They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about their stuff. They're thinking about the stuff that they're worried about, that they're concerned about, right? They're not thinking about you, okay? They really aren't, okay? They're thinking about their problems. Now, yeah, they may offer an opinion or two when you talk about what you're doing or what you're trying to achieve in this life, right? But whatever they say, you've got to kind of take it with a pinch of salt, and you kind of need to look at what they're doing with their lives, right? And think, okay, well, is this the advice that I should be, you know, taking on board, right? Is this the advice that I should be really taking into consideration? You know, because let's say you're talking about your business, right, to your, like, a parent, right, and they're belittling you and telling you that's not going to work out. But do they have a successful business? If they don't have a successful business, right, then you shouldn't be listening to them or taking their advice on board, right? If you want business advice, to get business advice from someone who actually has a good running business and their business is doing well. That's the best person to get business advice from, right? So these are things that you need to consider. And it's the same with, like, relationship advice as well. Don't go to someone who's had like 12 divorces about relationship advice, right? It's never going to work out. Always go to people that, you know, are in happy, healthy relationships, right? It's one of those things, okay? And don't worry about what other people think about you, because most of the time they're not thinking about you, okay? So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.